I was in my local library when I found a book that completely changed the way I look at things. How to Solve a Crime. Now you see, I believed at first it isn't that easy to solve a crime, due to the fact that they hire detectives for that kind of stuff. But as I look at this book, I can see it isn't that thick, and if it says what it does on the tin, I don't know. Maybe I can solve a crime from just reading this book. Now, I hate to break it to you guys, I'm no Sherlock Holmes. I'm nowhere near Benadryl Cumbersnatch's level of anything. So, obviously, I wouldn't be that good as a detective. But what I am is very bored. So we're going to try out anything to do with solving a crime and see if I would make a good detective. Let's get on with it. I need to do homework. I'm not. Let's get into it. Now, if we're going to talk about crimes here, we're going to have to be a bit more specific because there's many different types of crimes. But here's the thing. I'm only going to be talking about one type of crime because, you know, the others seem kind of boring. Especially organised crime. Like, I'm very unorganised. This isn't going to go well. So, what we are going to be talking about is murder. What would you need for a murder? Well, let me open up my murder book here, and it's blank. I haven't murdered anyone. Good. So, of course, the first part is to look for the main things, such as a body. That's a pretty big thing to miss if you're on a murder scene. The murder weapon, a suspect, if they were there or not, evidence, and, well, kind of ties in with evidence, any blood. Like, if any DNA or any blood from anyone other than the victim is on the scene. Now, this is something that's pretty big within criminals and crime, because blood gets everywhere. Like, no, blood is awful, trust me. Like, you run over, you try and help someone, and oh my gosh, you got blood splattered over them, and then you're like, what the fuck, I just needed help putting on sunscreen, how the fuck did you get blood all over you? And you're like, beats me. You see, it just gets everywhere. So, blood gets everywhere. Good, we got that. Okay, so again, looking for traces of blood or DNA from the actual killer might be harder than expected because a lot of the blood would usually be from the victim, but if you're able to find anything that distinguishes the two apart, that's perfect. Brilliant. If you can't find that, well, then that sucks. Moving on. No. If you can't find any of that, you would possibly have a list of suspects already. Now, here's the thing about suspects. What you need from them is to know if they had any motive and if they have an alibi. And, you know, anything else. Core, I'm great at this. If they don't have a motive and they don't have an alibi, then possibly they could be, you know, innocent, or they could be hired. If they have a motive and they have an alibi, then that's just coincidental. And if they have a alibi but no motive, that's like, why are you even here? This is a murder scene. What the fuck? And finally, a good thing to be looking into is the history of everyone involved, really, from the victim to the actual background of someone you're suspecting. Because usually that would be a good thing to tie in, like, if they have any mental health problems, or if they were known to have sort of, like, sociopathic tendencies or something. This is extreme situation, but it could happen, and they could have been put in prison for a crime before that could have led to this one. It's always good to have a background check. Of course, for my fellow criminals out there, all you can do is hide the murder weapon, hide the body, preferably like burn it or feed it to pigs. Those are like really intense ways of getting rid of it, but I would say that it's good because usually a detective if they don't have a body or a murder weapon, it's so much harder to find out who or how they did it. As well as that, you could also hire someone so that you can have an alibi, you won't get any DNA on the scene, and it's just better in general so that you don't get any blood on your hands, like figuratively and literally. As well as that, make sure that you don't have any connections tying you to that murder or to the person who committed the murder in actual fact. As well as that, you should also make sure that if you had any sort of disagreements with the person before, make sure that people don't know about it or that it's not public, because if you're really thinking of killing someone, then they'll probably recommend that you were the one that did it, which isn't good. So unless you want to kill them as well, then you've just got a whole bunch of murders on your hands, and that gets kind of messy. So I'd just stick to killing one person and that'll be fine. It's great. But wait, I hear you ask, why would you be giving criminals advice on how to murder people? Isn't that like your whole job, to stop them? I'll have you know, the job here isn't to stop a crime. It's just to realise what happened within the crime. And when it comes to murderers, you see, it takes one to know one. Besides, you read the title wrong. You see, I thought I made it clear that I'm not Sherlock Holmes. I'm James Moriarty.
Miss me?